Hey, so you ended up here, so obviously you think the aliens are real, because they are, of course, right?
But did you know that there's many that are actually trying to help us? In movies, they're often depicted as something that we should be scared of that want to destroy our planet.
And for some, that's true. But not all. Talk about Lyrans, the lion people. Lyrans are a humanoid with a cat head, and they came from the Leo constellation. They were 12-dimensional beings. Sadly, their galaxy got destroyed, and they were redistributed as energy into other galaxies, including Earth. It is said that the Lyrans actually built the Egyptian pyramids. Theory is wrong, and the Lyrans actually built the pyramids in 15,000 BC. Explain why the Egyptians worshipped these cat humanoids. Including Sekhmet herself, who actually wasn't a goddess, she was an alien trying to help humans. The Lyrans actually used the pyramids as a portal to go back to the Leo constellation.
This Sphinx was a carving of a lion.
I guess we'll never know.
What if Antarctica was actually a giant ice wall that surrounded our 7 continents, keeping us from seeing the lands beyond? Now hold on, stick with me. This could all just be a conspiracy, but hear me out. What if the 7 continents that we are allowed to travel to are actually just a giant matrix grid, owned by the filthy rich people in the real world outside of the wall, harvesting our consciousness and feeding off of us?
You know how the theory goes, Tupac died?
Yeah.
But he's actually alive.
Yeah, he's like in Barbados or some shit like
Yeah.
that.
You know the last picture of Tupac in the car with Suge Knight?
Yeah?
There's no keys in the ignition. What? In the picture. The last picture of Tupac, fam. There's no keys in the ignition.
What does that mean though? Like
That means it was staged.
Oh.
So not only was there no keys in the ignition, they asked all of the people.
Yeah.
Like they looked for bystanders everywhere. Nobody heard gunshots.
Oh, fuck.
Just look at the pic, fam. Look closely. It's an empty key. Like there's nothing. Yo, there's nothing. What the fuck? Nah. Like it's not even. It's literally empty. This is not no push to start, fam. This is
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna say, is it a...
No.
There's no way.
This is way back. And this car wouldn't have a push to start.
Wait. So you're telling me this is William Shakespeare? And his wife was called Anne Hathaway. This is the Anne Hathaway that we know, and this is her husband.
Shakespeare and his wife reborn.
We live in a parallel universe? We need to talk about these crazy Mandela effects. So if you don't know, the theory goes that in millions and millions of years, time travel exists. And each time someone time travels to the past, they make slight changes that causes us to go into a parallel dimension. Now these slight changes that they make are called Mandela effects. And y'all, I got some crazy ones for you. Now picture how the song We Are the Champions ends. Y'all heard that right. It's never ended on, oh, the world. Like, what? Next up, we have Fruit of the Loom. Y'all are probably like, oh, this looks normal. Like, there's nothing wrong about that. It looks the same. Wrong. This has always been the logo. With no damn cornucopia. Next up, we have my dear friend Pikachu. Like, what could be wrong with him? His tail has never had a black stripe. What? Now, I'm running out of time, but like, Pinterest, it's always been Pinterest, not Pinterest.
Insane Coincidences, Part 13. In 2010, an amateur treasure hunter from England let his 3-year-old son borrow his metal detector for the first time. Within minutes, he discovered a 500-year-old gold pendant worth $4 million. A dog gave birth to 3 puppies, each with their own corresponding number on their back. There was only one photo ever taken of Abraham Lincoln giving a speech, and his killer John Wilkes Booth is in it. On December 31st, little Delaney turned 1-year-old while her great-great-grandmother turned 101. They were born exactly a century apart. These 2 bullets collided during the Battle of Gallipoli in 1916. For 300 years, the lonely tree of Tenere was the only tree within a 100-mile radius in the Sahara Desert. That was until it was accidentally knocked down in 1973 by a drunk driver.
That is one of the luckiest dads.
As we all know Spider-Man from our favorite superhero movies, but if you think about it, we're never told who Spider-Man's parents actually are. But I think I may have found the answer. So the name Spider-Man is 9 letters long and he lives in New York City, which is 3 words. Multiply those 2 together and we get 27. Nothing too strange, right? But if we look on the newest Avengers Endgame poster, there are only 12 Avengers shown on the poster. And if we subtract those 2 numbers from each other, we get 15. And guys, stick with me here because this this is why the number 15 is so important in discovering who Spider-Man's real parents truly are. So first off, 15 is a title of a popular song by which artist? None other than Taylor Swift, which must mean that she's the Spider Mom. But then who's the Spider Dad? Well, if we do some simple math, 1 plus 5 is 6, and who has 6 Infinity Stones? Well, none other than Thanos, which means that their only answer is that Thanos and Taylor Swift are Spider-Man's real parents. Guys, my Spidey senses are tingling and I'm Spidey shook.
And so here it is, we finally know who his parents are. Biggest mystery solved.
Miley Cyrus isn't happy with her dad because he groomed her old castmate when she was only 14 years old. We know Miley Cyrus and Billy Ray Cyrus are father and daughter, but Billy Ray, who's 61 years old, is engaged to Fire Rose, who's 23 years old. She's only 1 year older than Noah Cyrus, who's 22 years old. They seemed like a pretty happy family, and Tish, who's Miley's mom, and Billy Ray, they just got divorced in April 2022, so kind of recent. By the way, Miley looks just like her mom, stunning. But with this, Miley cut off like all communication with her dad, and Fire Rose and Billy Ray Cyrus had an interview, kind of, just watch, it's weird.
Tell me about how you guys met and this song came together.
We actually met 10 years ago on the set of Hannah Montana.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. 10 years ago on the set of Hannah Montana.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. And,
Billy in that interview is looking like, don't say it, don't say it, don't ask any more questions. What do you guys think of this? It's weird, right? He just got divorced and then now he's re-engaged with someone who's like super young. It's just, it's weird because it's Hannah Montana.
Are y'all trying to hear the thought that kept me up last night? Just so y'all know, there's never once been a completed T-Rex skeleton found. What about the one in Michigan with the T-Rex locked in battle with the Triceratops? That's not actually true. It wasn't even in Michigan. It wasn't a fucking T-Rex. But I digress. I don't have time for that argument. The point is there's never been a completed T-Rex skeleton found. Which means they've made most of this animal up. One complete item that they've consistently found is the skull. The other bones are all mismatched and shit. If anybody has seen these pictures, I don't need to point out how inaccurate the people who draw dinosaurs are, because they gave them the bones to a baboon, the bones to a zebra, the bones to a hippo, and a swan, and that's what they came up with. Y'all got me fucked up. So basically what I'm getting at is it's a dragon. It's a dragon skull. A lot of its bones being hollow would have explained why they've never found a complete skeleton, because hollow bones are really hard to fossilize. I'm not saying they breathe fire, but you explain to me why there's a dragon in every single culture on the planet.
Alright, first you need to know that I am willing to die on this hill. So if you're gonna come in the comments and disagree with me, you better fucking bring it. If you were a kid in the 80s and 90s, your parents got these envelopes in the mail from the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes. And you could fill it out and send it in for a chance to win like $1 million. And if you won that $1 million, a guy named Ed McMahon would show up on your porch with a big ass check, some balloons, and a camera crew and knock on your door and film your reaction. We all remember this, right? Wrong. It never happened. Ed McMahon never worked for, made commercials for, or was affiliated with the PCH in any way possible. And the internet is backing this up. You can't find footage of Ed McMahon delivering checks on the internet. It's been wiped from existence. They're saying that we're all wrong. It's something called the Mandela effect, where this large group of people remember something incorrectly and nobody can explain why. His face was on the envelopes. There's even TV shows that reference this happening.
What? I'm one of the winners of the Publishers Clearinghouse? Ed McMahon wants to see me right away?
So what, is the entire internet like lying to us? Did they get together with PCH and be like, hey, let's fuck with the whole world and tell them that Ed McMahon never did this? Or did he really never do it and there was a glitch in the Matrix and we were living in a parallel universe? Like, I could not sleep last night. My brain hurts. And I need somebody smarter than me to figure this out.
What high school conspiracy turned out to be true at your school? We had a student teacher, so a reasonably attractive guy who was about 22 or 23. The rumor was that he was dating a girl in our class, a senior who was nearly 18. It turned out the rumor was wrong. He was dating her younger sister who was in 8th grade. Dance, theater, and music teacher had illegal boxing fights on the weekend. There were 3 seniors in different years who married teachers shortly after graduating. One was my former prom date. That there were tunnels under the school that led to a hidden pool, confirmed by my father who was a maintenance man for the school district. The tunnels were just utility tunnels. The pool is below the gym floor and was abandoned due to financial reasons. My history teacher tennis coach made moonshine and hosted cockfights in his barn. I ended up becoming friends with his son and it was all true.
What the heck did I just see?
Recent news on like the most convincing evidence of time travel.
What happened?
So there was a guy named Sergey. He showed up randomly. He spawned in Kyiv. This is in Ukraine.
Yeah.
In 2006. But he's actually from like the 1950s. In 2006, when he said he spawned there, he was in all these like old clothes.
Yeah.
1950s clothes, not even 2006 clothes. All he had, his old camera, right? The police were like, this is weird as fuck. You're telling me that you're a time traveler? I need to see pieces of ID. He doesn't have ID. He says, go look at my photos and my camera. They're undeveloped. Police, they develop his camera. All they see, some random girl and him back in Kyiv in 1950. It looks like the 1950s.
Yeah.
So they're like, wait a minute. Who is this girl? Sergey? He's like, yo, this is my girlfriend, but I haven't seen her in so long. So the guy time traveled and left the girl back in the 1950s, supposedly, right? Police, they were like, okay, what's that girl's name? We're gonna track her down.
Oh, so they go and look for her.
Yeah, they go and look for her. They type in her name, they find her.
This is Jared Fogle, one of the worst pedophiles in American history. So if you don't know who Jared Fogle was, he was the spokesperson for Subway for a number of years. Jared initially became... This is Jared Fogle, one of the worst pedophiles in American history. So if you don't know who Jared Fogle was, he was the spokesperson for Subway for a number of years. Jared initially became famous and then eventually became the spokesman of Subway because he dropped so much weight while eating a Subway diet. According to Jared, he lost almost 245 pounds while eating almost exclusively from Subway. Obviously, this was a huge story, and when Subway heard about this, they contacted Jared and eventually made him the spokesman for their entire company. I swear to God, I remember this. For years, you couldn't turn on the TV without seeing this guy's face. So in 2004, when Jared was at the height of his popularity, he launched the Jared Foundation, a foundation determined to fight childhood obesity. This foundation saw Jared touring schools across the nation, talking to kids about losing weight, and yeah, just being heavily involved with children, which people at the time thought was a great thing. But it was when he was away from the cameras, behind the scenes, when Jared was engaging in some of the most deplorable behavior I've ever read about. So in 2007, a radio host and journalist from Florida came forward to the FBI and reported that Jared was saying and doing some concerning things. Apparently, while at a middle school event, Jared had been talking to her about performing lewd acts on a minor. He had texted her about all of these things, and she even recorded him saying all of this stuff. At one point, apparently, Jared even asked this journalist if she could install webcams in her children's bedrooms so he could watch them. Obviously, this was concerning. This journalist recorded all of this, turned it into the FBI, but they told her that they couldn't do anything because they didn't have enough evidence. And now we got to talk about Russell Taylor, a guy who was heavily involved in Jared's foundation. So when he wasn't working on the Children's Foundation, this guy, Russell Taylor, was producing CP in his home. Apparently, between the years 2011 and 2015, Russell Taylor had videotaped minors in his own home and traded photographs of them with none other than, you guessed it, Jared Fogle, king of the footlong. According to court documents, Jared actually asked Russell if he could move some of the nanny cams in his home so he could watch children in varying states of undress or while they were naked taking a bath. Russell also claimed that Jared made him set up accounts on porn sites in his name, and he wanted to basically run his whole CP operation for him. Well, shortly after Russell Taylor was arrested, Jared Fogle's home was raided, and guess what they found? A ton of CP. On the same day that his home was raided, Subway severed all ties with Jared, and some new disturbing facts came to light during the trial. Apparently, years prior, Jared had been texting a Subway franchisee named Cindy, and over these texts, he talked about wanting to abuse kids aged 9 to 16. He told Cindy she should sell herself for sex on Craigslist, and even asked her to arrange a sexual meetup between him and her 16-year-old cousin. Eventually, Jared pled guilty to possession of CP and traveling to conduct an illicit sexual behavior with a minor. Apparently, while in New York City, he paid to have sex with a 17-year-old girl.